Hello, so I'm here on the Loft computer, our presentation computer. So I just logged in to our account and I'm going to open up ProPresenter down here. And it'll launch. So this is ProPresenter 7.1. It's the newest version of ProPresenter. And it's pretty similar to past versions. It just looks a little bit different and things are moved around slightly, but not a whole lot of changes if you've used ProPresenter before. So just an overview of the layout. So on the left here, we have our library and playlists. So the songs library has all of the songs that we have done here at EBC. So this is a fully populated library of all the past songs that we've done over the past 2 years. And the worship team doesn't introduce that many new songs over time, so you should not have to bring your own songs that you made from home. So this should be populated for you already. The presentations library carries all of our presentations that aren't songs. So I'll explain more what each of these are, but this is where you would put your sermon presentation or where our presentation that holds the announcement slides would go. And then lastly, we have a playlist. So one difference here is that we have one playlist that's called Sunday. So this playlist has a bunch of presets in it that apply to Sunday morning worship services. And we utilize the same playlist every week. We do not add a new playlist every week. We just use the same one. This keeps the ProPresenter pretty clean because we're not building files upon files. And by following the same procedure every week, it should make it a lot easier for the volunteers to have a consistent service presentation. So I'll explain more about what's in the Sunday playlist in a little bit. So down here at the bottom, we have our media bin. These are hot folders that are connected to our Google Drive that is uploaded weekly with the current graphics. So as a media team video volunteer, you're not responsible for making any of these graphics. These will be uploaded for you ahead of time and apply to the Sunday that you are volunteering at. So we have backgrounds here. So these are backgrounds that go behind song lyrics, or they could be backgrounds that you just put up as a filler if someone is speaking and you don't have a pre-made slide for it. The MinOps folder carries all of the announcements that go in the pre-roll, and some will go in the post-roll, and some will be highlighted during the announcements part of service. And graphics this Sunday applies specifically to the sermon series that we're doing, and it's specifically the graphics that you will put in the sermon slides. So it'll always have a title slide, and it'll have a blank slide that you can put text on top of. And it'll always be a dark slide, so you'll always have white text on top when you're making your sermon slides. So those are the media folders that we use. To the right here, we have the previews of what's on the screen right now. So right now I'm previewing Stage Display 1. You can see with this drop down here. So we used to use the term Confidence Monitor. With ProPresenter7, the new term is called Stage Display. So that's something important to know. An audience is what is seen at the front of the sanctuary, the main screen, as well as fellowship hall. So stage display is at the back that only people standing up front can see, and audience is what everyone else can see. So we can toggle back and forth between stage display and monitor. For example, if I put on this slide here, you can see that it's in the main display, and this is what the confidence monitor sees. And to the right here, we have clear options. So this is very useful if you have song lyrics up. So I'll just put up an example. So let's say we have these song lyrics, and then there is an instrumental break. You can clear just the text by hitting this text button, clear slide. And let's say you also wanted to clear the image and just go to black. You can clear the media, which will clear the media that you selected. If you had both of them up and for some reason needed to clear everything, in a pinch, clear all will send everything to black. that's probably just in a pinch if something wrong happens. So you shouldn't need to use that often. And down here, if we ever play videos, this will show the progress of the video. So this is our countdown timer video, for example. If you need to skip ahead, you can scrub here, and you can pause it if need to. Below here is audio. We don't really play any audio from ProPresenter, so you can ignore this little bottom corner. And you can change the size of the graphics if you need to. If you want to view the list, you can, but standard, we will keep it looking like this. Up top here, we have some of our menus that you'll use when preparing before Sunday service in the morning. So show is kind of like your home page. That's where you'll be able to click around on things and show the different backgrounds and the slides. If you need to edit a slide, you can go to edit, and it brings you to the editor that is very similar to the editor that we've used in past versions of ProPresenter. So standard typing and text options here, and all of the font choices and colors and all that is there. Reflow is very useful when you're importing a new song. So this helps break up where the slides split. It's a very quick way. So we have verse 1 over here. If we wanted to split this into 2 slides, we could insert slide break or delete the slide break with the backspace button. Bible we don't often use, so I'm just going to skip over that. And more. So these shouldn't really be touched by the volunteers, but I'm just going to show you what we have in here. So these are all pre-populated. So these are the stage layouts. So these are options for what the confidence monitor can look like. So the first one is the music option. So this shows the current slide lyrics. It'll show the lyrics of the next slide, and it'll show the current time. So this goes on the stage display that only the worship team can see while they're singing. The next option is the announcements or sermon confidence monitor view, stage layout. So this big yellow box will be filled with the current image that's on the main screen. And it'll show the time, and it'll show the sermon countdown timer. So this will be used when the sermon is going on and when the announcements are going on. And then lastly, this is the pre and post-roll stage layout. So to make our sanctuary look a little bit cleaner, because people are mingling before service starts and people mingle after service ends, I have filled this entire screen with the image of the main slide. So that way, when we're running the pre-roll before service of the announcement slides or the post-roll, if someone is facing the back of the sanctuary because they're walking around or mingling with others, they'll just see a full screen. They won't see any extra text or clocks or anything that looks very businessy. So this just gives a very clean look for announcements before and after the service. So those are all of our stage layout options. And then the last important thing here is timers. So we have one timer uploaded called Sermon Countdown. So this is our standard 30-minute timer. So when you want to start the sermon countdown at the beginning of the sermon, you just hit start and it'll begin. And we can see here that the sermon countdown has started. So it's a quick access from this top button here. So I'm going to go over what our Sunday playlist is here. So you can see here that we have all of these headers. We have pre-roll, countdown, music, announcements, more music, the sermon, followed by the last closing song, and then the post-roll. So this is our standard order of service. I'm just going to go through one by one what each of these are and then how to fill them in when you are here on Sunday morning. So starting with the pre-roll, just going to go from top to bottom. So pre-roll are the announcements that run before service starts. You can start running them as soon as you're ready on the ProPresenter computer. It's usually around 9 o'clock or 9:10. So you want to go to the MinOps bin at the bottom, and you're just going to drag in all of the slides that apply. It'll be a looping slide, so you can put them in any order you would like. So these are all announcements that apply for this Sunday. And you'll need to make sure you see what's on these announcement slides. For example, thanks for joining us is more of an ending slide, so we don't really put that in the beginning. So you just pick and choose what you need in the pre-roll, and it is preset to automatically loop and advance for 7 seconds. That's what this little icon here means, the automatic slideshow. So you can see here in our preview, we're automatically moving forward. If we skip ahead to the last slide, you'll see it automatically loops. So that is the nature of this pre-roll file. So you won't have to make any adjustments to that. If you wanted to or needed to, for some reason, change the time, you can select a different time. I find 7 seconds is a good time. You can change it to whatever number suits you. So that's pre-roll. Pre-roll's done, and it's just gonna go through as we continue to work. The countdown file is next, and the countdown doesn't change every week. So you don't have to drag anything into it. It'll be the same. If there's a new countdown video, maybe it fits a different theme or a season, then I will let you guys know to change it. But this is automatically filled in, and it is automatically scheduled to start at 9:25 on every Sunday. So that's another thing that's preset that you as a volunteer don't need to worry about. I'm just going to show you where it is though. So we have start countdown timer here. You can see it's on a schedule for every Sunday at 9:25 a.m. And the action is to start countdown file. And you can test it if you needed to. So you can see I hit test and it put the countdown timer on. So that'll automatically start at 9:25 every Sunday, unless you deactivate the calendar setting. All right, so next is music, and you can see there's nothing here because we don't have any music files put in. So this is where we go to our library and grab the songs that we need for this Sunday. So I'm gonna go to songs, and I know that Amazing Grace is one of the songs. So you have two options here. You can right click and hit add to Sunday, and then it'll automatically put it at the very end of the playlist, so you just have to drag it into the section that you need. You can see the little blue line is where it'll end up, so I'm putting it right after music for our first song. And then this is our Amazing Grace song. So you can add in more songs. The second option to add a song to the playlist Sunday is to just drag it. Sometimes dragging is a little bit messy, so it may not be your preferred method, but if you hover over Sunday, and then the playlist will pop up, and then you can drop it in here and it'll appear. All right, so now we're going to go to announcements. We're just moving through here, and the announcements file doesn't have any images, so I'm gonna add the announcements that I was told were happening this Sunday. So I'm just dragging those from the MinOps folder, and you'll click through those as normal during the service. Keep going through your order of service. I know that there's another song they're doing Do It Again, so I'm just gonna drag it into this music for the offering. For example, I have a blank presentation file because our most recent offering has not been an actual song, it's just been a recording. So I use just a static image here, and I drag that into blank. So this blank playlist is useful if you need a presentation that's not already configured, just to fill something. And you can add in whatever pictures you need for various reasons. Now we have the pastoral prayer and sermon. So this is where I'm gonna grab my sermon file that I already made at home before this. So I grabbed it from my flash drive, which I stuck into the computer. So to grab it from your flash drive, you're gonna go to File, Import, and then you're gonna hit File. And then you're going to find your flash drive. My flash drive name is Purple, and I'm gonna find it. My flash drive's kind of full with the songs, but you would have the .pro file in your flash drive, and you would hit import, and it would automatically import into the presentations library. So the sermon name for this Sunday was called Breaking Through the Darkness. So I'm going to drag that in to our prayer here. And this is where the theme would come in. If you made yours at home, you might not have used the same font or the same size as we do here on Sunday. So to keep consistency, this is where you would apply your theme. So I click theme here in the top left. And I'm going to go to sermon slides and then hit template. And then it'll automatically change the slides to match the standard template that we use here for the sermon. And then to finish up the sermon, I'm just going to drag the images where I want them. So I'll usually add a blank slide at the front for the title slide. I already did it, but I'll just show you again. You would just drag it to the slide you need. And then you would also just drag your background slide to the first slide that you need background for. You can apply it to all of them, but once you click a background, it'll automatically stay for the rest of the slides, as you can see here in our preview. All right, so that's done with the sermon. So now I'm gonna do music. I know they're doing one more song after the sermon. Just gonna add it to my playlist. Put it in the right spot. And then lastly, we have post roll. Post roll here is blank. You can see that it's already set to advance the slides in a loop at 5 seconds. I want it at 10 seconds today. No reason, just preference. So I changed it to 10, and I'm gonna grab the slides that I need. I know that thanks for joining us is gonna go in there, and these are gonna go in there. So you just add those in, and it's the same thing. It'll automatically loop. Now I have everything populated. So now we're going to be adding actions. So actions help us do a lot of things at once without needing to do a lot of work. So, for example, I mentioned that earlier we have a different screen display or stage layout for our pre-roll because we want the whole screen in the back to be filled with the image. So you can see here that it's not. So I'm going to right-click on my first slide and I'm going to hit Add Action. And then I'm going to hit Stage. So this is an action that influences the stage display. And I'm going to pick what stage display layout I want it to look like. I know this is the pre-roll, so I'm picking post-roll, and you just hit Done. So now, when I click on this slide, just this specific slide, because that's the only one I added the action to, it'll trigger the stage display, which you can see here on the right, to change to that format where it just fills the whole screen. And it's going to stay through that for the whole session until you either change the stage layout manually or you add another action. So let's say we go through our pre-roll, we go through our countdown timer, and now we're ready for the first song. So the first song here, I want my song layout to be on the stage display. So I'm going to hit Add Action to the first slide of my song. I'm going to hit Stage, and now I'm going to change it to Music, and then hit Done. So now, when we click on this slide, notice how our stage layout switched to the other one. And just a preview of what it looks like here. So this is what the worship team will see. It helps them with lyrics. And we're going to keep that as they do their songs. And now it's time for announcements. And the announcements person will probably want to see the slides that are up behind them. So we're going to go back to our action. We're going to change the stage display to be the announcements or the sermon format. Just hit Done. So now when I click on this slide, it changes the stage layout to look like this. It has the time, it has the timer that's up for the sermon. That won't go off, but it just is there for viewing. And it'll be like that for all of the announcements. and we're doing another song. So you have to do this each time you want to change. So it is some energy before the service starts, but once this is all set up, it makes it very easy to navigate during the service. And now it's time for the sermon. So just gonna add action, stage. We're gonna change it to this announcement/sermon. And that is what the preacher will see on the stage display. And then we're going back to music here. Oops. So I'm just going through each one. Post roll, I'm going to change it to the post roll style. Okay, so that does everything with the actions. Okay, so that goes over almost everything for setup. One last thing regarding songs. So we're trying to keep our song library very clean, and we're only going to be having one copy of a single song in the library. So the purpose of having the library pre-populated with all of the verses and choruses is that you don't have to go home the night before and prepare all the song lyrics. So they'll already be in here. But the thing is, we have verses, we have choruses, we have bridges, interludes, and sometimes different worship leaders will do different orders of songs. So how do we do that without making a totally different file? So ProPresenter has this great format called arrangements, and you do that in the playlist. So this is when you've already dragged your song into the playlist. So if you go up here, if you see right in the middle right, we have these 3 boxes here called arrangements. We're going to click on it. So here, you can make a new arrangement that is the correct order of the songs. So you're going to hit new arrangement, and you're going to name it the name of the worship leader, because the worship leaders have communicated with us that they are keeping their song orders consistent with themselves. So for example, if Mark does one worship set in April and he sings the song Christ is Risen, and he does Christ is Risen again in July, it'll be the same. So this is one of those things where if it's already been done, you won't have to do it again. But for now, because this is a new computer and everything is blank, you'll probably have to do it for most of the songs until we start getting repeats. So I'm making a new arrangement. I'm calling it Mark. So now we have these movable, removable, draggable items. And Mark has told me that, and you'll have this in an email from him beforehand, that he's going to do intro, verse 1, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, and he wants to do the chorus twice, and then he wants to go back to verse 1, and he's not doing verse 3, he's not doing the miscellaneous section. So how do I do that? So the gray represents what you can pick from, and the blue is what Mark's arrangement is. So I know Mark starts with the intro, starts with verse 1, verse 2, pre-chorus, chorus, but then he told me he wants to do the chorus again. So I'm going to grab chorus from the gray and drag it into chorus right after the first chorus. And you can see, or you might have seen, that it added another chorus right here. And then he's not doing verse 3, so I'll just show you. Verse 3 is down here. So if we hit X on verse 3, it disappears. And he said he's going back to verse 1, not doing miscellaneous, and he's ending with the chorus before the outro. So now we have our song completely in order. So when it's during the service and you need to go through the song lyrics, you can just hit the spacebar to advance straight through them. And because everything is pre-arranged to what Mark is exactly singing, including repeats and including different verses and choruses, you don't have to worry about going from chorus 1 down here back to verse 1 over here. It just is straight through. And that's something that will be simpler for the volunteer during the service. That takes a little bit more preparation ahead of time, but quicker in the end. And you can see here that in our playlist that we're using Mark's arrangement. And excuse the scrolling. Just for example, if Eric is singing the song another time and you made Eric's arrangement, so let's just say he did it like this. This is just an example. So now it's saved. So if you click on the song and you have Eric singing, you can click on Eric's name. If you want to go back to Mark, you just click Mark and it's all ready for you to go. And you'll have to do that for every song. And again, that's something the worship leader will communicate with you before Sunday. The worship leader is responsible for letting you know their order of the song. Okay, so I believe that goes through everything. General operation of ProPresenter is the same as before. So if you are going through a song, so let's just say the countdown just ended. I'm just fast forwarding here. The countdown just ended. We have 8 seconds. And I know that I want this red background on top of Amazing Grace, which is the first song. So the countdown's going to end. I'm going to click on Amazing Grace. It's going to come up blank. I'm going to click on this blank slide here, which triggers our stage display to change for the worship team. Usually you show blanks when they have their instrumental intro, designated by intro here. And we're singing, going through everything. ProPresenter has these shortcuts, so if you quickly need to go to a verse or a chorus, maybe the worship leader accidentally goes out of order, or maybe you accidentally put your lyrics in the wrong order, you can hit these letters on the keyboard. So if I quickly want to go to verse 1 from right here, I'm just tapping A on the keyboard, and it brings me right there. So that's a useful shortcut. And with the songs, our CCLI license is going to be at the very end, so you do want to make sure that you hit this blank outro slide at the end of every song, because this is, let me just show you guys what we're looking at. Can't read it, but this is our CCLI license, and we have legal obligation to show this after every song. So it's very important you don't skip this outro, but it's pretty easy to click on it because the majority of our worship songs end in some sort of instrumental ending without any words. So, and you don't have to drag the graphics to the song. In fact, that makes the files a little bit messier, so I'd recommend not doing that. If you just click in the media bin, it'll stay throughout the whole song until you click on another background. Okay, so when you're all done with Sunday, you're finished everything, everyone's left the building, and you're trying to shut down the computer, there's a little bit of a shutdown procedure as well in terms of clearing everything, so it is a clean slate for the next volunteer on Sunday. So, just starting from top to bottom, you want to remove all the graphics from your presentations here. So, you can select them all by dragging and hit delete. Keep the countdown, because the countdown stays the same every Sunday. On the playlist here, you're going to remove the songs. And hitting delete over here just removes the songs from the playlist. It doesn't remove them from the library. Our announcements, we're going to remove these images. We're at another song, so I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to remove this blank presentation. I'm going to delete the sermon presentation and remove the song. And then lastly, these images here. And so I'm just right-clicking and hitting delete. And then lastly, we're going to clear out my sermon presentation from the computer just to keep everything clean. So we go into presentations, find your presentation for the sermon, and just hit delete. And it'll ask you that it can't be undone. So you say yes and delete it. So now we have our clean layout ready for next Sunday. So it is all ready to go. This looks exactly like it did when I started. So that keeps everything clean. Thank you.